So hey guys, this report's for December 7th, but first I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I've been in the fishing industry for close to 30 years, and when I do these reports, I get a lot of the information from local guides that I've helped through the years. Have a lot of friends that are on the water, also customers, and I'm on the water 3 or 4 times a week. So any of this information that I give you is pretty current. So you get it on Wednesday, you could go out on the weekend and could utilize what I tell you. One of the things, if you're heading out on Saturday morning, you could always tune in to 1140 on the AM dial for California Sportsman's Channel, because I'm on there every Saturday morning at around 6:40, and I talk about what's going on currently. So not only do you get my Wednesday report, but you also get things that I've heard on Thursday, Friday, and up to Saturday. So I'm giving you all the current information. So let's start out. I always start on the saltwater, and this last week it's been really rough out there. So crabbing, which is good, has been a little difficult because it's hard to get out there when you got big waves and big wind swells. And but the crabbing's been good. The lingcod fishing, the bottom fishing's been off the hook too. It's been really good. Fall always seems to be one of the best times of the year to go after bottom fish and lingcods, because those big lingcod will start moving into shallow water to spawn. If you look back at the video I did a couple weeks ago on lingcod, you'll see, I haven't been up there for many years, and I go up there and I kind of remember what the rocks look like, and actually put quite a few big lings in the boat up to 25 pounds. And I was fishing in 30 to 60 feet of water, and all the fish I caught were hitchhikers. So watch that video, I think you'll learn something. But rock fishing's also been really good, and the magic depth in those things have been right around 100 to 150 feet. And have a lot of friends been going after them, but that day I went, I just chose to go after the lingcod because they're better eating, I think, and they're a lot bigger. So the saltwater action is good as long as the weather permits, and the crabbing's also good. I think the commercial season is going to open here in another week or so, but I don't think those guys really bother it that much, because those guys are out there in 200, 250 feet of water. So, when I went last couple of weeks ago, I was in 80 to 100, and the crabs seem to be getting shallower. So don't give up just because the commercial guys are out there. You can still go out there and get your limits pretty easy. One of the other things, we're going into the bay, and halibut season is kind of getting a little bit slower now. But one of the things that's happening in the delta inside is that the stripers are starting to show up in big numbers. The water temperature dropped drastically. It's 50 degrees, and those stripers are starting to move in our system. I talked to a lot of guys that are trolling rattle traps and shallow running yozoris in 6 to 8 feet of water, and they've been doing really well, and they've been fishing mostly around Collinsville and the Rio Vista. And another thing that's going on out that way also is sturgeon. Because of the bad tides we've been having the last week, and a lot of the boats were having a little tough time. But the tides are gonna turn around this week, so it should be a lot better, and the fishing should pick up because there's a lot of sturgeon in the system right now. Getting back to the stripers, I got them pretty good. If you look at the video I did this last Monday, I got into an awesome A-rig bite. The fish weren't real big. We had a couple fish in the double digits, like 12 pounds, but most of them are in that anywhere from that 3 to 7 pound range. But the A-rig, this time of year when the water cools, because the shads start balling up and they start doing their thing about spawning, so I go into the back of these sloughs, and actually I was out up north by the Meadows, and there was 4 sea lions in there, and we still knocked the heck out of the stripers. And watch the video, because on that video I did Monday, I actually talked about how I use the birds and how I use my electronics. I got all the high-tech stuff in my boat, and I could actually see the fish attack my A-rig. So the A-rigs is one of the top getters this time of year, unless I'm fishing the shallow flats, like in Big Break, Sherman, Liberty Island, those type islands like that where I'm only sitting in 2 to 4 feet of water at the most. You can't throw the A-rig because it gets too much grass on it. So I've been throwing like a 5-inch swim bait with a half-ounce jig head in it, or you could use swim jigs. Those are probably your two top getters. And don't forget the top water, because top water, when the water drops below 52 degrees, I catch some monster fish. They just haven't arrived yet, but I expect they should be coming in anytime soon. So keep that striper point on your calendars, because it's something that you're going to be wanting to do here, in the near future. So now we're going to get in a little bit further and go into, well, actually, I want to talk about one more thing. Down in the Delta, if you've been listening to a lot of reports on the bass fishing, it's been a little bit tough. But you know what? When that water drops 10 or 12 degrees, it usually takes fish a week to get acclimated to it. And the water is getting gin clear. And this last week, I actually did really well on the bass, catching them up to around 4 pounds. And I caught them all throwing jerk baits. I've been throwing rip bait, and I was catching some on A-rig too. But I caught some on rip baits, but I had to pause it. So I pulled it down hard a couple times, and then I let it sit. And I'd say 90% of the fish I was getting are hitting when the lure is not moving. So the lure stands still. I don't pop it real hard. I just kind of move it about 6-8 inches and let it sit for about 3 to 5 seconds and move it. And I'm not jerking it. I'm just pulling it and letting it sit, and they pop it pretty hard. You're gonna catch stripers. I caught squawfish and I caught bass. So everything's starting to feed on these shad. And then just remember, when you get in a little deeper water, put that A-rig on. Okay, so bass fishing is starting to pick up in the Delta, and try the jerk bait. Then we're going to go to the lakes. The bass fishing's been kind of off and on. We had these hard rains this last week, and I think it's going to take a few days, for them fish to get acclimated. So, once the lakes start filling up, usually whenever a lake starts rising at a high rate, the fish move closer to the bank. So, if I'm catching them in 35, 45 feet and the lake's coming up maybe 3 to 5 feet a week, I would start moving up and just turn the graph on, look for them and see as they're moving up, or watch the bait fish, and I think you can go shallow and catch them. So other things going on is the trout plants. All the lakes are planting trout in the mother lode. You got Amador, Comanche's real good. A friend of mine was up at Comanche last week. Easy limits, pulling speedy shiners about 2.5 miles an hour. They were top lining them and also running them on a downrigger at 10 feet. And the fish are pretty good size. The biggest ones they caught, they were averaging like 2.5 pounds at Comanche. Collins is real good. I'm sure Amador's probably pretty decent. But there's all those mother lode lakes should be good for trout. So another thing happening in our local rivers is I think once we get a bulk of rain and the river starts muddying up a little bit, then the sturgeon fishing is gonna break loose. But I've been getting a lot of questions asked by people coming in the shop, or friends just wanting to know, are there any steelhead in the American River or the Feather? I'm sure there is, but there's a lot of salmon spawning in the American River right now. If you wanted to go see them, you could go up around anywhere in that closed zone, up by Hazel, Sunrise, any of that area, and I'm sure you're going to see a lot of salmon up there on the surface spawning. That area is closed now. You can't fish it, and it doesn't open back up till January 1. But the steelhead, with all this rain coming in, they should start showing up. It's been really tough. right now, but they will start showing up in big numbers here pretty soon. So roe would be your top getter as bait. So if you got any salmon that you saved the roe, make sure you use that first. And other things going on as far as fishing around here, the crappie fishing, I've been doing a lot of that. I was out this last Monday. I took Warren and Natalie out, and we went up north into the meadows, and it was raining that day, and we caught a lot of crappie and a lot of perch or bluegill. They were not real big. They were about the size of my hand. They were good size, but we probably caught way over 100 fish. We only caught one striper, I think. No, wait, one keeper striper, and we caught maybe 10 or 12 bass. But the thing is that's really got me baffled is I've been fishing up north for many, many years, and usually this time of year it is saturated with bait fish. So I would go in there and grap in the holes in anywhere from 20 to 25 feet of water, and there'd be bait balls everywhere. There's none there. I have not grafted any big bait balls in there, only small groups here and there. But this is, I don't know where these bait fish are. The water temperature was 49 degrees on Monday, and normally, like I said, there'd be a lot of bait fish in there, but there's not. But the crappie and the perch are in there thick, so if that's what you want to do, it's a lot of fun with light tackle. And I'm just using little Kitex, and for the perch I use a little piece of worm and put it above a Kitex, and I run a double hook rig. But on Monday we were catching crappie 2 at a time, and it was raining. The conditions were real good. The water temperature was 49 degrees, but the fishing, the crappie was off the hook. We were catching 2 at a time. It was a lot of fun, but like I said, we didn't get any really, really big ones. I want to get up to Berryessa here pretty quick, and because a friend of mine's been going there, and I haven't been there for over a month. And when I was there a month ago, I was catching crappie that were a pound to 2.5 pounds, and perch or bluegill anywhere from 3/4 to a pound. Well, a friend of mine was up there, and he's been catching perch. Actually, he had one that was 2.7 pounds, and he said they're averaging over a pound. And those fish are still deep, and I really want to get up there and try it, because like I said, if you go back and watch the videos I did one on perch, I did one on crappie, this probably about a month ago up at Berryessa, and caught a lot of big ones then, but they're a lot bigger now, so I'll probably want to get up there and give that a try. So fishing in general in the fall is usually good, so you want to get out there. It's a little cold, but it's well worth getting out there to go fishing. So if you like this video, please hit the like, and please subscribe, because it'll really help my channel out a lot, and I really appreciate it. And if you look at the bottom, you hit that little button, you can leave a comment, and usually in 2 or 3 days I'll get right back to you and answer any questions you have on any of the hundreds of videos that I've done. So make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week.